the Awas Yojana has been expanded, and Mitali, you were mentioning this just a while back, so let me jump into it now. So, 3 crore houses being constructed currently, many of them are complete, many of them are being finished by end of this year. 2 more crores of houses are to be added into this. What do you make of it?
No, absolutely, Rishabh. I think this is one thing which I was predicting on your show yesterday as well. That a scheme which is doing really well, I mean, we know that there are challenges, but still it is helping people a lot. And the money and the benefits are going directly to the people. They are seeing the tangible benefit of the scheme, right? Having a house, having a roof on your head, which you call your own. So therefore, it makes a lot of sense that in an interim budget, you come out and you say that we are going to increase, this is the direction we are taking,
Okay.
and this is one of the most important social sector schemes that we have seen in the tenure
Yeah,
of Prime
you
Minister
can't
Modi.
get a bigger deal than having a pakka roof. Okay, and 70% of these Awas homes going to women.
Either women headed households or in the name of a woman in any household, they are going to women, and you get a property tax benefit. Even with that, you get a higher incentive, higher subsidy, with that. So this definitely helps in women's financial independence, because then she can use the home, as collateral. If she wants to take a small business loan, she can have the security of having the house, even if there is domestic violence, even if there is, any kind of marital dispute where typically women are dispossessed of property. So it just completely changes women's position in the household in terms of agency. And Rishabh, this reflects in the National Family and Health Survey data, where there is a question which says, are you participating in household decision making as a woman? And now 98% of women are saying yes to that question.
Okay, all right.
Because this also
Okay.
contributes.
Okay. Now I just want to do a dipstick test, okay, because it helps us. A lot of devil is in the detail, and we're going to have plenty of time to go through the infographics, okay, that are playing on your screens. So let's do a dipstick test. And the dipstick test is telling us, are we doing okay? All right. General Dwivedi, if you can hear me, let me start with you. Both before the speech, after this interim budget speech, what is your gut reaction telling you about how the country is doing? Are we doing well? Is there doom and gloom? Is there excitement? Where are you?
Well, Rishabh, I think we are overall doing well. If you see the whole global environment, I think we are definitely doing fine. But I feel that we have a lot of potential to do better. And today, this 6-7% is not good enough. I think we need to notch it up to 9-10%. That's where our potential lies. And only if we can kick it up there, then only I think we'll be at the rightful place in the global polity. So we are doing
Okay,
fine.
we are
But I
doing well.
think we need
Dipstick
to do
test says
better.
yes. Yes, we are doing well. General Katoch, what's your gut reaction telling you? Is India in a good place? Because you got an all is well message from Nirmala Sitharaman. Inflation is under control, fiscal deficit under control, forex is doing well. We are doing okay with our markets. Are we doing okay? Is the dipstick test I'm trying to get in? Mitali, why don't you jump in on that? Are we doing okay? Are you getting a positive okay message?
Rishabh, today is my very happy day because Nari Shakti is really one of the major messages of the budget. So yes, I love that, but I also love the focus on climate change and the acknowledgement that we need agroclimatic zones, that we need to be Atmanirbhar in our oil seeds, and that we need to invest
Okay,
in
okay.
clean public
Okay, so
transport. So
overall, okay,
yes.
so yeah, many specifics to go into, but the overall gut feeling is we are okay. Wing Commander Sudhakaran, a lot of excitement about India. I know you have a lot of caveats to that excitement for obvious reasons, but before and after the budget, how are we feeling? Are we feeling pretty energetic, or are we feeling a little bit of gloom and doom?
Oh, I am feeling energetic all through. The 10 years has been glorious 10 years for India. Prime Minister Modi is probably the best leader India had in 1,000 years, not 100 years, because we've never had the kind of cultural renaissance that we've had. He has brought in the economy. He's been an all-rounder. See, today world leaders fall at his feet. They look upon to him. Today, Biden chases him in international forum. So he has created a niche for himself. There is no reason why I have to not feel
Okay.
excited about.
Well,
But at the same time,
yeah.
while I'm looking at optimism, I am, it is like Virat Kohli and Sachin Tendulkar. They expected to score century in every match. I need Modi to score century on every budget. So that's where the caveats and the skepticism and, that's where we need to push him more. We need to make him work more because he is our only hope.
Okay, let me get the good doctor into this conversation. Dr. Roy, just your general sentiment of people you interact with, your friends, your family, are we doing okay as a country? Do we see positivity? Do we see high aspiration? Or are we a bit apprehensive, a bit worried, a little bit of gloom and doom? Which side of the coin are you on, sir?
No. I am extremely excited the way India is going. India is looking at progress at all ends. We are trying to meet ends for everybody. The government has ensured that there is a very broad-based developmental agenda. This budget talks about everything that should be talked about. As I told you, healthcare, I've already spoken. We're talking about solarization of households with the help of pitching up on solar energy. There is a great amount of help that is going to come with these interest-free loans. The rural health is also looking up, and another area that the finance minister said is about
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
into a big health infrastructure in existing healthcare is also going to be pushed up very hard. So all these are extremely interesting things that I'm looking at, and I'm sure with everybody that
So the general health checkup, okay, is saying you're fine. Of course, there are lots of things that you can do to make yourself better, okay. But the general health checkup from the doctor is we are doing fine, and that's a happy dipstick test that we've had anecdotally from people sitting with us. We seem to be in a good space and heading to a good space. Everything else, of course, is devil in the detail. Okay, Kalyan Chakrabarti joining us on the broadcast. He is the Chief Executive Officer of AMR India. Mr. Chakrabarti, welcome to NewsX. Your first thoughts before I ask you some specifics, sir.
Brilliant budget, though it is for 4 months. So we will, of course, look forward to the July budget in its entirety. But the thing which kind of takes my respect for this budget is the comprehensiveness of the vision, whether it is defining the four fulcrums of the societal renaissance, if I may call, by emphasizing on women, farmers, youth, and elderly. I think the society grows the moment you start this kind of empowerment and start making changes at the basic level. That will have long-term positive advantages when women empowerment happens with policy decisions which are supporting it.
Okay, for people, of course, who already know this, AMR is globally into real estate development. So not exactly what your forte is, Mr. Chakrabarti, but on a larger themology, that in a country where a percentage of the population simply did not have a house, we have built 3 crore houses and 2 crore more houses are being planned. Pakka ghars are being planned. What do you make of this, sir?
It's brilliant. I think it is the vision and more importantly, the execution. It is one thing to talk about doing it. It is another thing to have delivered on it. So I'm very excited. It has got multiple layers of advantages in the economy in general. Obviously, any single spend that happens there is a multiplier effect which touches multiple MSMEs, SMEs, and all of that stuff. Of course, it creates a huge playing field for real estate developers like us. And it creates substantial jobs, because this is a sector in infrastructure and real estate, we produce maximum amount of jobs. So I think while it is housing for all is very core to what we do as a developer, the fact remains the general focus or the general vision around improving the life and living standards, which is not only about housing but also healthcare, education, water, electricity, cooking gas, financial inclusion. These are like 6 or 7 almost like rainbow of with your kind of
okay, so I have to ask you again, we don't know the details yet, so hopefully the budget documents will provide this detail. I'll put them on your screens as soon as I can. But a statement of intent that if you're in the middle class in India, government will come and help you either rebuild your house if it's not in the best of state, or if you have a plot of land similar to the Awas. I don't know the exact monies which will be provided, so that's why I said the devil is in the detail. But what do you make of this idea for the middle class, sir?
See, I'm also waiting for the details here, but middle class, rented, chawls, slums and unauthorized colonies, revamping them, or essentially people who are living there to upgrade their living standards by moving them into self-owned houses where hygiene and health and all of that get taken care of, and security, for example. Those are things which are crying needs in these kind of colonies, slums, chawls and unauthorized colonies in particular. And in some of these things, these are people who own an asset which is not easily collateralizable, and hence the wealth is kind of hidden. and the wealth cannot really be leveraged to improve you out of that. So there are multiple impacts of this. I'm waiting for the fine print. As it comes, I'm pretty sure it will be
Of
good.
course, and as people know, the biggest redevelopment plan in Dharavi now is getting started. Hopefully that goes well. It's complicated, but needs to get done. Okay, let me get a broader picture from you, Mr. Chakrabarti. You tell us anecdotally, for MR India, what is your outlook on the country? Are you into looking and exploring and expanding on new projects? Are you looking at
100%.
opportunities?
We are very bullish on India as a story. We are committed to India as a canvas for us to play, economically speaking, and we see positivity all around. The growth, the demand, the ease of doing business, all of have been positive, and I am personally excited.
Okay. Where is this positivity then coming from, sir? Is it simply that we've got the basics right? Is there a sense of energy? Is just that the economy is doing well, that prices are stable? Where is the positivity coming from?
I'll have probably two answers for you. One is macro and one is micro. Macro side, I think India is the center of gravity of the world as far as multiple things are concerned. It's the economy, as a large economy which grows as well as it does, an economy which has managed to keep inflation away, unlike most who could not. We are leading the world on innovation on various fronts, including digital. We skipped that generation, which was most of the countries are yet to catch up with us with respect to digital, whether it is financial digital or various others. Societal renaissance, like focusing on healthcare, education, water, electricity, cooking gas, financial inclusion. These are things which will unleash demand in a big way. It will unleash opportunities in a big way, and that is the macro which I am talking about. And the second one is effectively the economy side, whether the GDP growth rates or the inflation, which I have already talked about. These are all positive, and I see them staying positive in a similar manner for the foreseeable future, maybe probably the next decade. And that is the basic foundation from which we get our optimism from.
Okay, two or three quick questions.
That's the source of
I know time is short. Okay, now we've grown up, and I'm sure you've seen it happen in and around doing complicated projects, that wherever land gets involved, it's been a very, very contentious issue in this country for so long. Now we are seeing massive projects, airports, railway stations, huge highways, some of them greenfield highways that are being developed, and it's no longer become contentious, as either socially or politically contentious as we've seen in the past. What are we getting right? How have we sort of solved this problem, sir?
I think the intent is intent of the leadership. Mr. Modi and his team has been the biggest positive. Many a times, as we know, in corporate leadership, of course, we run much smaller enterprises in comparison to running the country that Mr. Modi does. And if the intent is right, then people normally line up. The second is, I think, buying into the vision. The vision is so grand and nice and right. I think it's easier to create that shared desire to get it right.
Okay.
And I think the capability building which has happened in the process over the last 10 years that I see, we have delivered on big things, and with that, the confidence of the people and confidence of us as a nation or a group of citizens as a collective is sky high right now.
Okay, all right. Last question.
That is going to be, that momentum is going to continue in my view.
Last question, sir, and just an overview. How is the association now that we seem to have a very good association now with the Emirates in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, both in terms of the economic sphere, in terms of tourism sphere, in terms of people going. How has this boom happened? Are you seeing a healthy sign here that there is a lot of confluence of interest which is rather obvious now?
I think so. I think with the GCC countries and UAE in particular, the degree of engagement G2G level has been probably the best that it has ever been since independence, in my view.
Okay, all right. Thank you, sir, Mr. Chakrabarti, for joining us, and all the best for your projects and the energy, of course, that puts into the puzzle pieces that is India's economy. All of it adds up. Mr. Chakrabarti, who was joining us, CEO of MR India, a very well-known, of course, corporate, not only in India but abroad. Okay, let me quickly, I'm also expecting joining us on the broadcast, Ajay Singh. He's the current president of ASSOCHAM. He's, of course, CMD of SpiceJet. He's going to be joining us very, very shortly as well. But let me go back to my guests quickly on a touch base. Atul Gupta, your general thoughts, your perceptions now, overall feeling. Is India doing okay, sir? Are we in a good space? Are we in trouble? Are we heading in the right direction? What's your general consensus?
my general view will be always positive because I feel that the proactive approach which is adopted by the government, as rightly mentioned by my other colleagues, that a 360-degree view of where all the aspects related to the economic developments are being taken care. So when you are developing more and more infrastructure, actually it boosts to the entire demand of the various activities related there too. So I'm completely in sync with the my colleagues who are saying we are positive about the entire ecosystems which is emerging up.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we are near consensus. Everybody seems to be positive about the story. Now, you can, of course, debate whether the positivity is due to coach and captain Narendra Modi or irrelevant to who the coach and captain is. Everybody can be positive about the country without being positive about political leaders. I leave that open to your wise judgment. But the consensus you've just heard is people are feeling positive about the country. There seems to be an atmosphere of excitement, even though we've heard plenty of caveats across. Let me get Ajay Prakash into that with the same thought. Ajay ji, what's your outlook? Okay, because we are talking big deals. We are talking about Viksit Bharat. We are talking about a golden age. We are talking about India's time has come. Okay. Are you feeling positive, or are you a bit concerned that maybe it's a bit overblown?
We are already on that trajectory. We've already moved ahead. There is a complete infrastructure which has been set up. It is not only the physical infrastructure, but it is also the educational infrastructure, the social fabric which is there. Each of those things, they are also being knit in. Not only that, when we are talking about a positive image in the global world, because it is now globalization which is important, so that too has been knit up very, very well. Yes, we are somewhere in the middle. We've already started off with that trajectory. It's already the takeoff stage. Okay. We have come up with one of those issues where we say that there is 1 lakh crores of rupees for research and development. Now, that has to be used. Last year, we were not able to go ahead with a complete absorption of our education budget. So whenever we are putting in all of those monies to go ahead in a much better form, what we need to do is we need to spend all of those monies in order to get what we are wanting. Yeah.
Okay, so some excellent examples of things that we have been desirous of happening. So let me pick them up the best I can over conversation. Okay, General Dwivedi, I'm going to ask you, because we sit often together to have all sorts of conversations. So let me ask you something that, not that as an Indian, okay, growing up in India, going from election after election, decade by decade, on the slogans of Bijli Sadak Pani, that we will build better roads, we will give you electricity, and we'll give you water. Then, of course, roti kapda makan, okay, that we will feed you, we will clothe you, and we will provide you a house. It was never ending, sir. It was forever. We are seeing saturation now, that the roads are being built, the houses are being built, food is now in surplus. That doesn't mean people don't go hungry, but we are a surplus country. Is it happening? Are we about to beat abject poverty, sir?
Absolutely. I think they should, because when the basics are being provided, you then come out of the poverty syndrome. And I think that is happening because when you give the basics, and also when you empower people and also ensure that they are able to earn their living, because one thing that we are feeding 80 crore people, but I think at the 75th year and beyond, everyone should be able to earn it themselves. So that is what the empowerment is required, that we need to shift the focus from actually providing people to let people earn themselves. That is point number one. Second issue is that until you give the basics, you cannot actually cross the threshold of poverty. I think that's where the main emphasis lies. And one point which I want to make as a geostrategist, that today the global headwind is in India's favor. People are looking at China plus. This is our time. This we need to ensure. And when I was in China for good some time, that basics were provided. Thereafter, you step into a second level, that is the level where you are distributing prosperity, where everyone is in the field of play. I think ultimately the captain matters, the team matters, but very important, 140 crore Indian matter, and every Indian needs to be part of this game, and he can only be part of the game.
I was having this conversation, sir, just a couple of days ago, okay? And of course, I'll return in the evening to have this conversation on captain and coach, right? Because, yeah, leadership matters. The general in command, the officer commanding matters as much as the person fighting on the front matters, okay? It's a very, very interesting conversation because if the consensus is, if all of us are saying India's time has come, we are doing really well, we are heading places, then the question is it incidental? That doesn't make a difference who's prime minister. Whoever was prime minister wouldn't have mattered, okay? What does matter is that India was going to do well anyway, okay? Or that it is because things have gotten right because of leadership. It's a fascinating conversation, but that's a separate conversation. Let me just touch base and try to put some general basis on this. This is the conversation I was having. So let's get another perspective from Dr. Prabal Roy. Dr. Prabal Roy, it is a realism to say that when we talk about developed instead of developing, it's just a tagline, right? But what does it really mean? It doesn't really mean immense wealth. It means that you take the basics for granted like you and I take them, okay? We assume that we have a house to live in. It might be bought, it might be rented, it might be big or small, but we assume we'll have a roof over our heads. We assume that we can feed ourselves, okay? We assume we can clothe ourselves. But there's a percentage of India that was unable to do so. Are we getting past that stage, sir, where we can assume that 100% Indians, saturation, can get these basics sorted finally?
Actually, the vision has started. The process has started. We'll have to give it a little bit more time to ensure that all these targets are met with completely. Every person must get a roof, must get a square meal, and should have good access to good healthcare. Why I come back to healthcare is because it is closest to my heart, and Swasth Bharat is also a part of the slogan that we have always had very, very close to our hearts, and we've cherished it. So it is very important that we move on to the path at the same speed as we have started now. And it is not that we have just started. No, we're not at a point of takeoff. I think we've already taken off. We are mid-flight and we are gaining height. So this is a zone that I'm very, very comfortable with. And we have to be sure that the momentum is sustained and we keep moving in the same direction for all these fundamental issues, which include food, shelter, and health. Okay. I think these are the most important primary.
Okay. Now, Dr. Roy, given that these are all interconnected, right? So, of course, if you are eating better, you are going to be healthier. If the mothers are eating better, the babies are going to be healthier. Okay. If you have a house that is more hygienic to live in, if you have a cooktop in which you can cook using gas instead of coal, you're not breathing in those fumes. All of these are interconnected puzzle pieces. But on the specifics, sir, when we talk about things like, Ayushman Bharat and all these things, the conceptualization of the route of insurance, because I've spoken to some of these beneficiaries and these people would have been reduced to penury. Their families would have been destroyed, their houses sold because of healthcare education. So literally the lives have been saved because of schemes like this. How much of these impacts are you actually seeing around town, sir?
I'll tell you something very interesting. In India, people plan for many things. People plan to have a house, people plan a daughter's wedding, but they are unable to plan for health. This is one zone that needed a lot of support from the government. And the government came forward with many schemes, and Ayushman Bharat is one of the game changers that came into it, wherein the coverage became very large. And a very large number of people could have access to higher healthcare, which they earlier could not. So this is a very big game changer. The process is already developed. It is moving forward. Only area where probably I think more attention will be required would be emergency care for these patients. Ayushman at present covers almost all elective work that can be done, and a very vast population is getting helped through the scheme. Emergency healthcare, still the patient does not have much choice. That is one zone where I hope in coming times, emergent healthcare will also be included into the Ayushman Bharat scheme, and it would be forwarded on to the population of India. Okay. It is going to make the next part of the change that we're looking at.
It's a good point and well registered. Just stay with me for a second. We've got a couple of minutes left in the telecast. Let me just touch base with Wing Commander Sudhakaran again. Wing Commander Sudhakaran, every time you and I sit and discuss things, you are working on the field. You, of course, spend time in uniform. You are working in the tech space. But there is a reality that while we were doing all of these things, we were for 8 decades doing the same political slogan, Roti Kapda Makan, Bijli Sadak Pani. Are we sort of reaching the point, sir, where that becomes irrelevant? It's already done. It's finished.
Yes, leadership matters. Even for a cricket team, if you don't have a proper captain, if you have 11 great players, victory is not assured. Modi has single-handedly transformed India. He has taken, a lot of things which we would think whether it would happen or not, like, for example, the Mandir or Article 370 or, many things like that. He has literally made it happen. People made fun of him, asking, all these promises will be never-ending and Mandir wahi banayenge, Tariq nahi batayenge. Now we've seen the Mandir happening in the same place and Tariq bhi aa gaya. So, all these things have happened.
So, Wing Commander Sudhakaran,
today,
this exactly was my question. The things that were just eating us alive, that you should have been able to do, but we couldn't do for some reason because they were just, rotting away, dheere, dheere, suppurating wounds. Okay. Ayodhya was one of them. Kashmir has been another one. Just not being able to give people food to eat, to have a roof over their heads, to give them a nalka at home, okay, a toilet. Is it a reality that we just didn't do it, not that we couldn't do it?
We didn't do it because we didn't want to do it. We didn't want to do it because, as Lalu very famously said, that if I give electricity, Lalten will vanish. And if Lalten vanishes, my party will vanish. So as long as Lalten has to stay, no electricity will be the norm.
Okay.
That was the rule, that was the game that the politics of India was playing.
Okay.
Today, when they are crying scapegoats, or when they are crying victimhood, when they are being arrested and hounded because of their corruption, they don't understand that corruption cannot get immunity under the garb of politics or opposition. You need to come clean with your facts. So Modi has given leadership which is decisive. He is, in all ways, I can say, what MS Dhoni did to Indian cricket is what Dhoni has did to the
Wing Commander
politics.
Sudhakaran, of course, it's a conversation that's going to be happening for the next 3 months. Okay, there's no doubt about it. Okay, maybe for longer. Depends on which side of the coin you sit on. Wing Commander Sudhakaran, Dr. Roy, General Dwivedi, thank you very much for joining us, gentlemen, and have a good day. Let me quickly rope into this telecast Ajay Singh, President of ASSOCHAM and the CMD of SpiceJet. Mr. Singh, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us on NewsX. Your first overall thoughts, sir, before I ask you some specific questions.
I think it's an India first budget. It's a confident budget of a very confident government. And, this government is really focusing on creating a developed economy and a developed India by 2047, and all the steps that are being taken in this budget and indeed in previous budgets and indeed in budgets to come, I think will be aimed at those larger objectives. So given that this is an election year, sometimes there is a tendency to focus on certain populist measures. I think this government is well beyond that. There is a great deal of confidence, and I think whatever has worked for this economy and for our country in the past is something that the government is doubling down on, whether it is an increase in the spending on infrastructure. There's 11% increase in infrastructure spending, 11 lakh crores. These economic corridors which are being built through the railways, expenditure on clean energy, a lot of money being spent on the startup economy. I think all these are extremely positive steps, which are a continuation of what has worked in the past. And so I think overall it's very positive. There's also talk about tourism and about creating jobs in various ways. I think all those are positive things. I can't see what
let me jump in
any real downside to this budget at all.
Okay, so let me jump on some specifics. So first, just as an anecdotal example, personal example, how are you feeling, sir, about India as a story? Is it looking like a prosperous that our time has come event, or is it looking a little bit apprehensive?
I think this is, for the first time in our lives, we can say that it's a great and very proud time to be an Indian. This is a time when we can truly say that we are moving rapidly towards creating a developed country, and in very many ways, even world leaders in certain spheres. So the fact that we are aiming at a net zero economy by 2070, the fact that we've accelerated our spend on clean energy, the fact that we've built the best digital payment infrastructure in the world, the fact that in so many ways in the startup economy we are increasing by leaps and bounds. This, this is India's time. This is India's moment, and I think it is for all of us to take advantage of this of the fantastic opportunities.
Okay, so Ajay ji, is it visible now? Is the project delivery, whether it be the roads or a airport or others, being talked about versus actually being completed? Are you seeing a visible tempo change?
I think no. I think there is a massive change. It's for all to see. What is there to see? I mean, we've been in this country for so many years. We've seen projects which get stalled, which fly over in front of my house, which takes years and years to build, and now suddenly the speed at which this infrastructure gets developed. You're traveling on a road one fine day, and you suddenly see a road or an underpass or a flyover which you hadn't seen before, and you wonder when the hell it actually got made. So the speed at which these things are happening is absolutely incredible. Something to be really proud of. We used to say that this can only happen in China, but now it's actually happening in India. So so it's absolutely fantastic. And whatever gaps remain, we need to fill them. There's no question. There's still lots of work to be done, but there has been a sea change.
Okay. I know our time is short, sir. So a couple of specific questions on the logic of the new airports that are being developed and the Udan scheme. Has there been a visible impact in your sector, sir?
Cut gaya, actually, he was asking me some questions.
All right. Okay, I think we lost that phone line. We'll quickly try to get that patched as soon as we can. I'm going to just quickly also be introducing the rest of the panelists who are joining us. I wanted the Ajay Singh's perspective on the Udan scheme because the finance minister specifically mentioned it as a point of conversation. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard a whole host of perspective. You're obviously going to hear political perspective as the day goes on, okay? But I'm going to put some thoughts as an open question on what to think about as just human beings, okay? It doesn't make a difference what our political preferences may be. And those thoughts are we doing well, okay? Does it seem that India's puzzle pieces are clicking, okay, the gears are falling into place and things are moving, okay? Does it seem to you? Then you can have the argument of whether Narendra Modi takes credit for it or doesn't make a difference who was Prime Minister, India is going to do well anyway. You can have that argument, okay? But is India going places, okay? When you heard the budget, did it seem like an insincere political attempt, or did it seem like professionals going about doing their job? Okay, we have to lead the country. This is what we need to provide right now. Then, of course, the full budget will come when a new government takes over. So this is what we need to do, and we need to get it figured out. So these things matter. Okay, perception matters, morale matters, confidence matters, vision matters, perspective matters. All these things matter as much as, of course, the devil in the detail matters. And the devil in detail is also fundamentally important. I'm told a quick reaction coming in. We have just spoken with Union Minister Kiran Rijiju. Let's quickly listen in.
केंद्रीय मंत्री किरण रिजिजू जी हमारे साथ हैं। सर, बजट पर क्या रिएक्शन है?
बजट शानदार है। मैं फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर निर्मला जी को दे देता हूं और प्रधानमंत्री जी को मैं आभार प्रकट करना चाहता हूं। कितना बढ़िया गाइडेंस जो इस बजट का रूप, जो कैसे इस तरह का जो दिशा है, दशा है और वर्तमान स्थिति में भारत कैसे शक्तिशाली देश के रूप में उभर के आया है और आगे कैसे जाना है, सारे के सारे इस अंतरिम बजट में समावी है। बहुत अच्छा इंक्लूसिव बजट है और इससे जो $5 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी को और हम जा रहे हैं उसका पूरा जो ज़रूरतमंद जितना भी चीज़ है वो इंक्लूडेड है। दूसरा जो है इस बजट में कोई वर्ग छूटा नहीं है, चाहे वो आदिवासी हो, चाहे वो हमारा शेड्यूल कास्ट हो, चाहे बैकवर्ड हो, महिला हो, युवा हो, बिजनेसमैन, साइंटिस्ट, खिलाड़ी, या जो हमारा आम जो मिडिल क्लास के जो लोग जिसको कुछ बजट से छूट का एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं, हर दृष्टि से देखिए, एक्स्ट्रा टैक्स नहीं लगाना, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में रिकॉर्ड ब्रेकिंग आप जो बजट पहले आवंटन किया है इसको और आगे बढ़ाने का, नया घर बनाने का 2 करोड़, इस तरह के हर एक चीज़ आप पिकअप कीजिए इस बजट से। इतना शानदार बजट बहुत कम देखने को मिलता है और ये मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में ही हो सकता है।
सर लेकिन विपक्ष कह रहा है कि आम आदमी को तो कुछ मिला ही नहीं, वो पुरानी बातें ही कह रहे हैं।
हाँ, वो जो विपक्ष जो है ना, वो जान बूझ करके अंधा या वो बहरा बनने का कोशिश कर रहे हैं। दुनिया जिस बजट को सराहना कर रहे हैं, दुनिया कह रहा है कि आज हिंदुस्तान का इकोनॉमी सबसे ब्राइटेस्ट है, फास्टेस्ट ग्रोइंग है और हमारा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर रिकॉर्ड पे जा रहा है। चाहे ट्रेन देखिए, एयरपोर्ट देखिए, हर एक चीज़ में देखिए रिकॉर्ड पे रिकॉर्ड। आप जितना मेडिकल सेंटर जो बनाया है या IIT, IIM या IIIT, हर एक चीज़ में देखिए रिकॉर्ड, जो 60 साल में नहीं हुआ 10 साल में हो रहा है। फिर भी क्रिटिसाइज करेगा, उसका आप क्या कहेंगे, राजनीति कहेंगे ना।
अगला बजट आप ही पेश कर रहे हैं सर?
वो तो देश का जनता ने मन बना लिया कि मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में ही अगले बजट भी आएंगे और आगे भी बजट देते रहेंगे ताकि भारत देश को बहुत आगे ले जाए।
Okay, you've had a pretty detailed perspective from Kiran Rijiju there, my colleague there in Parliament speaking to him. Let's invite into this conversation Sanjeev Agarwal, President of the PhD Chambers of Commerce and Industry, also Group Chairman of MMG. Mr. Agarwal, your overall thoughts first before I ask you some specifics.
See, my overall thought is that this budget being very small budget जो दिया मैडम ने, और बहुत ही सब वर्गों का बहुत ध्यान रखा है. It is a very very populist budget and I think it's a very good budget.
Okay, on the specifics, sir, and this is just your what is your feeling about India right now, sir? Are you confident? Is it looking good? Do you share the feeling that our time has come, or are you a bit worried, a bit apprehensive, and things are things are a bit tense?
No, we are very very confident, and we see that how the economy is growing. The economy this year is already growing at a 7.3%, and you can see our we will reach the 4 trillion economy this year and 5 trillion next year, and by 2030 7 trillion. So there's a big boost to the economy, and we are very very buoyant, and the next 5 years will be unprecedented years of our growth in India.
Okay, is the change that we see in terms of the issues that we used to face, because there is a part of the world, sir, that talks about GDP and fiscal deficit and forex and import export and GST, but a whole part of India that was talking about roti kapda makan bijli sadak pani. Are we seeing that pivotal change happen, that these become non-issues going ahead because everybody can take them for granted?
See, there are a lot of reforms are happening, and there are so many changes happening in India, we can see. And you can see in this budget also, the focus was on empowering women, poor, youth and farmers. So this was really very appreciable. Already they are providing 2 crore houses to the poor people in rural areas. They are providing so much for farmers. They are doing R&D centers. They are providing them modern warehouses and infrastructure. They already have a big budget of 11.1%. So this is really going to boost the economy of our country, and we are really see a modern India. We are seeing a great modern India in the future days to come.
Okay, so specifically to your businesses, sir, what is the impact that you've seen? Is business doing well across all your fields, sir, hospitality or on bottling and etc.? Are we doing well? Are we seeing the economy seems to be in a positive trend?
See, our businesses, we are into soft drinks. We are manufacturers of Coca-Cola in India, and there is certainly after COVID, there's so much of growth in this country that there's so much of capex we are doing every year on year, and huge investments are doing in our businesses, and we also doing in restaurants also, like we are into McDonald's, which we serve to our, basically we cater to our medium class people and lower class people because it's an affordable brand. So there's also growth in this sector, But recently in last 2 months, there was a little bit dip, but I see that we will improve this in the coming months. And already our country is focusing in improving the income of middle class people, and they are going to raise their strata to rich people strata. So I think the economy will grow and our business will also continue growing.
Okay, Sanjeev ji, before I let you go, what is the state of the rural economy? Are you seeing rural consumption go up, sir?
See, rural consumption right now is growing up because government is doing a lot of things in rural area, because rural area is going to increase the demand of our country. So a lot of things are happening in rural area, and rural demands are certainly growing better than the urban areas.
Okay, quick last thoughts, sir. When we are pushing infrastructure and R&D spending, I know the devil is in the detail. It is about what actually happens. But are you getting the assumption now that this is now a doable thing, not just a pie in the sky?
No, this is a doable thing. What Nirmala Sitharaman ji has said, that they have increased 11.1% budget on infrastructure. This is certainly going to boost the economy of the country, because with the modern highways and modern warehouses, it will certainly increase employment. It will increase our foreign direct investment also in our country. So it is certainly going to increase the economy of our country.
Okay, Mr.
It will be a great step.
Yeah, appreciate your time. I know you have a busy day in front of you. Thanks very much for joining us and sharing your thoughts. So now you're getting multimodal, multifarious points of opinion. Yes, you can argue that for TV, then generally it's a positive spirit, but it doesn't seem that way. You seem to be speaking to a lot of people across the board, and they're saying country's doing well. Okay. So you'll hear the political reactions, of course, coming up later in the day, who are telling you the country is not doing well. We leave it, of course, to your judgment on what is happening. Kishan Reddy, Union Minister, speaking to us. Let's quickly listen in before I rope in more voices.
हमारे साथ केंद्रीय मंत्री रेड्डी साहब हैं। रेड्डी साहब, किस तरह से देखते हैं बजट को, जो बजट पेश किया गया है?
जो आज नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में हमारे वित्त मंत्री आज इंटीरियम बजट लोकसभा में पेश किया गया। ये लास्ट 10 साल से देश कैसा विकास हो रहा है, आने वाले 2047 में देश कैसा होना चाहिए, आने वाले 5 साल में भारत सरकार क्या करने वाला है, और एक सभी गरीब लोगों के लिए टू दी ऑल द पीपल कैसा विकास करना चाहिए, वो टेक्नोलॉजी हो, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हो, और वेलफेयर एक्टिविटी हो, पॉलिसीज हो। आज देश के सामने फिर एक बात भारत सरकार देश के सामने हमारे लक्ष्य रख चुका है।
विपक्ष का कहना है कि लोगों की उम्मीदों पर ये खरा नहीं है अंतरिम बजट।
ये अंतरिम बजट है, असली बजट जून जुलाई में होगा।
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.